Hello, my dear students. Continuing with the video lecture on the administration of Ranjit Singh. Now, in part 1, we discussed the central, provincial, local administration and the financial administration of Ranjit Singh. In this part of the video, that is part 2, I will be talking about the judicial administration and the military administration. So, let's get started. Right. Now, first of all, we'll discuss the judicial system. Now, what was the organization of the courts? The judicial system, if I just use one word, it was absolutely simple. Now, in the previous lecture, we had talked about the provincial administration. So, how it was? We talked there is Maharaja, right? Is central government. Then there are provinces. Then there are parganas, then there are taluks, and then there was the smallest unit, that was the village. Now, when it comes to the judicial system, the lowest court was that of the panchayat, the one who also took care of the entire village in terms of administration. So here they also decided the disputes of the people. And what was the mode of redressal? By arbitration. So panchayat was to consisted of 5 persons who owned land and had some influence. So panchayat used to decide cases in the village. Now the next one is at the pargana. At the Pargana, the other court was headed by Kardar. Now, Kardar, as we know, was the head of the Pargana or the district. Now, he could hear the decisions of the Panchayat, and he also tried the cases of these taluks also. So he could also hear the appeals from the village panchayat, and he also heard the cases from the taluks. Now in the provinces, it was the court of Nazim. Now he used to hear the cases of the provinces, and if there was too much work, then he would ask Kardar to decide cases on his behalf. Sometimes special judges called as adaltis were also appointed. There were adaltis at Amritsar and Peshawar. So just remember, there were 2 of these important adalti, the special judges at Amritsar and Peshawar. Now, in between this, you had something like we have a modern high court, because Maharaja's court is just like our modern Supreme Court. So this high court was Adalat-e-Ala at Lahore. It was just like an high court. It heard the appeals, but the highest court of appeal was the Maharaja himself. He was the fountainhead of the justice. Now there was yet another court, that was the court of these Jagirdars. Now who were Jagirdars? Jagirdars were the ones who got the land as a Jagir, as a piece of reward or as a salary. So they also decided cases in their respective areas or the Jagirs. So appeals against their decision were seldom taken. Now, many defects were visible in the judicial system of Ranjit Singh. There was no, clear-cut written rules and regulation. It was all based on the custom. But of course, it should be remembered that some kind of, you can always say that, yes, there was a law and order absolutely fine during Ranjit Singh. But yes, it must be acknowledged that the robbing inclination of Sikh was under control, because at that time Sikh and the robber, the word could be used as a synonymous terms. Of course, he says, but during the time of Ranjit Singh, the few thefts which you can say thefts were rare. Right? Now, let's just talk about the features, because if I'm talking about what could be the defects, so let's have a detailed discussion on that. Number 1, there were no written laws. There were no, like something like we have section this and that. So there was no written laws during the time of Ranjit Singh. It was all based on the customs and the usage of people. Number 2, no distinction was made between the civil and the criminal cases. Number 3, the penal code was very severe. Capital punishment was rare. Imprisonment was not common. Fines were imposed in most cases. Justice was a source of income. The party which won the case paid the Nazrana, while the party which lost the case paid Jurmana. When stolen property was recovered, 1/4 had to be paid as the Shukrana. So I think the way I can talk about the Chandigarh police, there are lots of fines they take, because for any small mistake you have to pay a fine. And I think in present day also, that is the only thing which kind of stops us from doing anything wrong. So I think in that case Ranjit Singh was ahead of the police officers as well. See, because so one thing is clear, Bache, of course the fines were imposed during his time, but the most important thing, there are no written laws. The law is based on the custom and usage. There is no differentiation between the civil and the criminal. Now capital punishment was rare. That means death sentence was not given. Imprisonment was not very common, but yes, fines were common. I told you, fines were imposed by Ranjit Singh, and the party which won the case paid Nazrana. The party which lost the case paid Jurmana. If the stolen property was recovered, then 1/4 had to be paid as Shukrana, right? So this is about the judicial administration. And one more point that we'll talk about is that although Ranjit Singh was a Sikh, right? He called his government as Sarbat-e-Khalsa. The coins were named as Nanak Shahi. But the state under Ranjit Singh was absolutely secular. The state did not interfere in the religion. There was no discrimination in the matter of giving jobs. So most of his ministers were non-Sikh. His foreign minister Fakir Aziuddin was a Muslim. Even the head of the city of Lahore was a Muslim. The fort of Akalgarh was in charge of a Muslim officer. Even Hindus like Mokham Chand held important positions in the army. So here we finish the judicial administration, and now we come to the military administration. Now, military administration is slightly difficult, but no need to worry, because I'm there to help you with it, to make it much more easier for you. Right. See, first of all, the question arises that when did Ranjit Singh actually decided to have a regular force? Now, some authors realize that maybe in 1805, when Jaswant Rao Holkar suffered defeat at the hand of English and then came to Punjab to meet Ranjit Singh at Amritsar in 1805. So here Jaswant Rao Holkar, he actually kind of urged upon Maharaja that he must maintain a full disciplined army. He must have his treasury full if he has to save his kingdom from the English. So that means the first time that he got this inclination was when Jaswant Rao Holkar, after being defeated by British in 1805, visited Ranjit Singh. Now, second time, when did he feel that? When he visited the General Lake's camp and he saw how the military drill was going on. The third view, they say, is that when Sir Charles Metcalfe had gone to carry some negotiations with the Maharaja, so Maharaja Ranjit Singh was quite impressed by the disciplined bodyguard. And even while he signed the Treaty of Amritsar in 1809, in which Satluj was decided as a dividing line, it was actually his defeat from the diplomatic and the military point of view. So now he realized a strong disciplined army was necessary to avoid such setback, right? So obviously one, which Jaswant Rao Holkar, the number two, when he visited General Lake's camp, number three, when Sir Charles Metcalfe had come to do the negotiations, he had seen the disciplined bodyguard, and thirdly, when he signed the Treaty of Amritsar in 1809, he had realized that if he has to avoid any kind of setback, just like the Treaty of Amritsar, he needs to have a strong disciplined army. Right? Now let's talk about the organization of the army. Now, most of his army generals that actually were important in terms of his training his army were actually French officers, French generals. Now what happened? in 1815, Napoleon met his defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. So all the officers of the French army, they moved towards different directions in order to seek the fortune. They say that Ventura, Coate and Allard, they came to Punjab and they joined the service of Ranjit Singh. It is said, bache, these three generals completely overhauled his army and taught some new techniques of warfare. All right, now let's just understand how was the army of Ranjit Singh. Now the army of Ranjit Singh was divided into two parts. Number one, that is the regular army, which is called as Fauj-e-Aam, and number two, the irregular army. That was called as Fauj-e-Quwad, right? So one is regular army, the numbers are regularized, the recruitment is regularized. The other was the irregular army. So these were the two main type of the army of Ranjit Singh. Now, so first we are doing the first one, Fauj-e-Aam, or the regular army. Now this was to consist all the three aspects: the infantry, Paidal Sena, cavalry, the horse riders, artillery, that is the guns. Now Osborne, one of the most important European official there, he says that Sikh army can easily be moved and 30,000 Sikh troops would move more easily than 3 company regiments. That is what he was trying to praise, the kind of military power Ranjit Singh had, the army they had. Cunningham found the military army of his country a mass of horsemen, brave indeed, but ignorant of the war as an art, and he left it mastering 50,000 disciplined soldiers, 50,000 well-armed young men, militia, and more than 300 pieces of cannon for the field. Right? Now, jaise bache Maharaja Ranjit Singh, obviously now he decided to overhaul his army. The first problem was the infantry. Now, what was the problem here? Because infantry kya hai? Paidal Sena. Now, the people of Punjab, they did not feel that, joining infantry is something which is very regal. Because these infantry, or the jise hum Paidal Sena karte hain, their duty was only to guard the palace and the fort. So, the Sikh were not prepared to join the infantry when Maharaja decided to create a regular infantry force, right? But of course, he persisted them, that they overcame their traditional prejudices. So after 1818, people began to join infantry. क्योंकि बच्चे जो हम ये कर रहे हैं, सबसे पहले हम कह रहे हैं फौज-ए-आम और दी रेगुलर आर्मी. सो इस आर्मी में इन्फेंट्री भी है, कैवलरी भी है, और एक पार्ट जो है आर्टिलरी भी है. अब इन्फेंट्री जो है, obviously the Sikh did not like it. They felt that this is not a kind of job that these people would do it. So obviously their traditional prejudices they overcome with that, and in 1818 people began to join the infantry. In 1822, General Ventura joined the Sikh army. He had served under Napoleon and had trained the infantry force very efficiently. In fact, other Napoleonic officers also joined the army of Ranjit Singh. So that was, a very good thing that he did. Now, यहाँ पर बच्चे मैं थोड़ी सी आपकी मदद करूँगी. एक बार हम पढ़ लेते हैं obviously, and then I'll just make a chart for you to make you understand. Now, the lowest unit of the section was to consist of 25 soldiers, and they were to have a head as Havaldar. Now, he was to be assisted by a Nair, right? Right. Uske baad bache, second point is that the 4 sections, अब 25 soldiers का सबसे lower section है, इसके 4 होंगे तो that will consist of 100 troops. Now their officers were called as the Subedar, assisted by 2 Jamadars. Now, ये 4 section जो है बच्चे, obviously now the 8 companies, that is of 100 each, will form a battalion or platoon. Now, the minimum strength was about 800 soldiers. It was to come under the commandant, who was to be assisted by a mayor, right? Now let me explain it to here, right? देखो सबसे पहले हम क्या कहते हैं, सबसे पहले आपके 25 सोल्जर्स की एक टुकड़ी है, ठीक है। इसको कौन हेड कर रहा है, इसको हेड कर रहा है आपके हवलदार, ठीक है। एंड उसको असिस्ट कौन कर रहा है, नैब। अब इसके ऊपर ये ऐसे जो आपकी टुकड़ियां हैं, ये 4 टुकड़ियां जो है 25 ईच की, इसको बोलते थे। नाउ दिस एक्चुअली फॉर्म्ड अ कंपनी, ठीक है। सो पहली टुकड़ी आपकी जो है सिर्फ 25 सोल्जर्स की है, उनको हेड करने वाले हवलदार हैं असिस्टेड बाय नैब। इसके ऊपर जो है अब आपके ये 4 ऐसी टुकड़ियां हैं, राइट। नाउ ये जो 4 इकट्ठे थे, दे वर नोन एज द कंपनी। दिस इज द सेकंड पार्ट। नाउ कंपनी किसके साथ हेड होती थी, दैट वाज हेडेड बाय अ सूबेदार एंड असिस्टेड बाय 2 जमादार्स। अब ये तो हो गए बच्चे आपके 100 सोल्जर्स। इसके ऊपर अब क्या है, अब ऐसे जो 8 कंपनीज हैं, ये जो आपकी ऐसी है 8 कंपनीज का मतलब है 8 टुकड़ियां इस कंपनी इतनी, यानी कि 100 की। सो यानी कि आपके 800 सोल्जर्स इसके ऊपर होते थे। इसको हेड कौन करता था, कमांडेंट, who was assisted by a major. Now another large organization called as a brigade was created towards the end of the region, and this was to consist of the 4 battalions of infantry, few cavalry regiments and a battery of 8 or 10 guns, right? So ये हो गया आपका infantry, 25 soldiers, then 25 की 4 हैं टुकड़ियाँ, उसको कंपनी कहेंगे। सो 25, 25, 25, 25, 100 सोल्जर्स। ये कंपनियाँ जो हैं 8 कंपनियाँ ऊपर, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ बटालियन, एंड इसमें 800 सोल्जर्स हैं, हेडेड बाय अ कमांडर एंड देन असिस्टेड बाय अ मेजर। Right, now comes the second part of your Forge A arm, right? Now this is cavalry. Now he wanted to train his cavalry just like these western lines. Obviously अब ये western tactics क्या था, quick maneuvering, quick moving of your horses and troops. So when these people were kind of showed these things, they thought it is the trick of dancing girls and they did not want to learn any new method. So Ranjit Singh was forced to raise new cavalry regiments. यहाँ पर बच्चे जनरल अलार जो है, he arrived in 1822, and after that the development of cavalry was quite rapid. Of course the strength of the cavalry increased 4 times within a few years of his arrival. Now इसमें क्या है, the strength of the cavalry regiment varied from 100 to 500, and the larger regiments were divided into risalas. The pay in the cavalry, very important, very important. Now pay in the cavalry was higher than the infantry, right? So जैसे बच्चे हम लोगों ने वहाँ किया था कि 25 सोल्जर्स हैं, फिर 25 सोल्जर्स जो हैं 100 सोल्जर्स हैं, फिर 100 का जो है आपका बटालियन है, 800 है आगे, यानी कि छोटे 25 की टुकड़ी, फिर आपके जो है कंपनी है, 8 कंपनीज एक बटालियन बनाती है। यहाँ पर क्या थी, द स्ट्रेंथ वेरिड फ्रॉम 100 टू 500, एंड जो लार्जर रेजिमेंट्स हैं दे वर डिवाइडेड इनटू द रिसालास, राइट। अब आ जाता है बच्चे आपका थर्ड part, that is the artillery, right? Now in the beginning there was no separate artillery. Now 2 guns were attached to each infantry battalion. Now but in 1810 a separate artillery corps was raised, and it was called as Topkhana-e-Khas. It was commanded by a Muslim commander, Mia Gauz Khan, right? And then later these guns were distributed and a new artillery corps was raised. Now this was divided into 4 classes. Number 1, Topkhana Fili or the elephant batteries. Then is your Topkhana Shutri or the camel swells. Then is Topkhana Aspi or the horse batteries. Topkhana Gawai or the bullock batteries. Now this artillery was raised to a high pitch of efficiency by General Coate and Colonel Gardner, right? So when it comes to Ventura was the infantry, Allard was the cavalry, right? Allard was the cavalry, usko AC. See, you have to learn something like this. So cavalry is C, Allard is AC. AC, you'll remember, Allard and Cavalry. And then you have the Ventura and the Elephant, VI, version 1. Right? And then the other one you can have it is the last one which is left is the court. So obviously the artillery was under the general court and Colonel Guardian. ये तो होगी बच्चे, हमने पहला पार्ट कर दिया जो है आपका फौज ए आम. अब आती है आपकी फौज ए खास जो आपका दूसरा डिवीजन था. Now this was also called as the French Legion. It was the model brigade of the Sikh army and it was raised in 1822 by General Ventura and General Allard. Now this army was to consist of number 1, 4 infantry battalions, number 2, 2 cavalry regiments and about 25 guns. I think this just became $1. It was the best trained brigade of Ranjit Singh. अब यहाँ पर बच्चे battalions आपको याद है हमने किया था 25. अगर 25 की 4 टुकड़ियां हैं ये बन गई 100 की एक कंपनी. अब ऐसी हमने 8 कंपनियां ऊपर की तो वो बन गया आपका बटालियन. तो यहाँ पर यानी कि 4 का मतलब है 800 into 8 इन्फेंट्री बटालियंस, 2 कैवलरी रेजिमेंट्स. ये हमने किया था. कैवलरी वाज 100 to 500, राइट. Now, infantry battalions were Khas battalions, the Gorkha battalions, Deva Singh's battalion and Sham Sota's battalion. Now, these are the names of that. Now, the 2 cavalry regiments were called as the Khas regiment and Dragoon regiment, and its artillery was called as the Corps of General Elahi Baksh. Now, these names, I think you have to learn them. There is nothing that I can help you, but you can always learn it with some association. या बच्चों आप इसका flow chart बनाओ अपने notebook में, write down the names and you know the way I'm writing it, just write it down and that's how you can learn. So the infantry battalions were known as the Khas battalion, then is the Gorkha battalion and the Deva Singh's battalion, Sham Sota's battalion. So these 4 names are important. Then the 2 cavalry regiments are called as the Khas regiment, वो आपका दोनों में ही है, and Dragoon regiment. Artillery was called as the Corps of General Elahi Baksh, right? Now, flag of this special brigade was a tricolor one with an eagle and material Guru Gobind Singh Ji embroidered on it. Now, this model brigade was called as the French because it used the French words for command. Now the interesting thing is we must not forget that Ranjit Singh is absolutely illiterate, but when it comes to his own skill as being the administrator, he knows it all. He knows the skill of administration. He knows how he has to organize his army and which people will assist him in organizing. Right now, Cunningham writes they were fortunate in having excellent material to work with, and like skillful officers, they made a good use of their means and opportunities. They gave a moderate degree of precision and completeness to a system already introduced. That means he's just trying to praise that it was not that the Sikhs were not brave or hardworking. Of course they were there, but maybe some kind of training absolutely made them like a diamond. They shine like a diamond. Malson also writes, the officer at that time, the rank and file of Sikh army became, under the training of the skilled officers, one of the finest in the world. They wanted but officers to be invincible. Right? So that means this is what, it just kind of became like that. देखो हमने पहले की आपके फौज ए आम, दूसरा हमने किया फौज एक खास, ठीक है, ये आपकी सारी रेगुलर आर्मी है. अब हमने दूसरा मेजर पॉइंट क्या किया है, फौज बी कवाद और द इरेगुलर आर्मी. नाउ इफ यू जस्ट रिमेंबर, बिकॉज ये थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट है, बच्चे इसमें कंफ्यूज होते हैं, सो लेट मी जस्ट हेल्प यू. देखो बच्चे, हमने कहा था कि उनकी आर्मी को हमने 2 में डिवाइड किया है, द रेगुलर आर्मी and the irregular army. अब regular army में one we say as फौज आम जो हमारा normal था, and फौज खास was the one designed by the French and they used to use the word of French, right? The other one, now this is what we are going to talk about, is the irregular force or the फौज Bikavat, sorry, Kawawid. Sorry. Now, इसमें क्या खास बात थी? Now this force, it was irregular. It was not something, you have these battalions and companies and soldiers. It actually was an irregular army. So this consisted mostly of the horsemen. So it did not have that much infantry as the Fauj-e-Aam and Khas, but here it had the good number of horsemen. Now there were two kinds. One were the Gurcharas and the other was the Misildars. Now, Gurcharas, they were single organization and they were generally recruited from the landed gentry. Now, they provided their own equipment. That is something, basically from the landlords. And number two were the Misildars. Now, these Misildars were the chiefs who had lost their possessions to Ranjit Singh and had agreed to join them in their horsemen. Now, the Misildar were considered inferior to Gurcharas, but their number increased with the passage of time, right? So, is it clear now that the other one, Fauj-e-Bakawad, is the irregular army, right? And this was to consist of the horsemen. There were two kinds, Gurcharas and the Misildar. This was more like, you can say, as the landed gentry, which you can say. Okay? And Misildars, they were the petty chiefs, you can call them, as who had lost their possessions and now they wanted to be a part of this kind of a system under Ranjit Singh. Now, this we have already, I think I talked about this. Now, I'm sorry, this is just a repeat of what we have done, and I think I've made it absolutely clear. Now, we have just talked about the type of the military. We've talked about the regular army, which is Fauj-e-Khas, Fauj-e-Aam, right? Then we talked about the irregular army, right? Now we are going to talk about the recruitment and the payment. That means how these people were recruited. I'm really sorry for the voice behind me. Just excuse me. Just excuse me for the voice behind me. Right. See, now how were they recruited? Now, what is the process of recruitment right now? We have the NDA exam, we have the CDS exam, but here it was not something like that. See, number one, there was no dearth of recruits. There was no, there were less people joining, nothing like that, because the people of Punjab had the martial traditions, and with Punjab also they associated the social prestige of the fighting profession. So Ranjit Singh, the way, he also patronized the military career. So obviously there was no dearth of recruits. Then how were those people paid? One, there was nothing like recruits were not there, or but there was no, dearth of recruits. It was because Punjab being known for its martial traditions, Punjab attached fighting profession with the social prestige, and Ranjit Singh, how he tried to patronize the military career. So there was no dearth of recruits. And when it comes to the payment, that was paid out of the plunder, the loot and plunder. But then Ranjit Singh, once he had organized his army, he thought this is not the right way. So he started giving them monthly salaries. Now, however, the monthly salaries was promised, but usually it used to be in the areas of 3 to 4 months. But the idea was just to check that these soldiers may not desert because if they are not being paid. Now, this we had talked, the pay in the cavalry was higher in the infantry, but the pay of infantry and artillery was same. Now, there was no system of pension. The only thing what he used to do was the jagirs were given. There was no provision for the widow and the children of those who were killed on the battlefield. That was not there. So no dearth of recruit. They were paid out of plunder, but then he started paying them monthly salaries, obviously, but they could not be paid every time. The pay of the cavalry was more than the infantry. There was no system of pension. Now, this military drill that he had seen during the Macleff's time also, and during the meeting with the General Lake also, so he tried to introduce the same with the Khalsa army. However, the Khalsa army, judged it as the dance of the fools. But Ranjit Singh stick to his gun, and they had to do this military, drill. Right, so we have these lots of travelers, the English people who visited Maharaja's court, and they have expressed their views about the Khalsa army. Now, William Osborne, he says, on the morning of 24th June 1838, we went to see the parade of Maharaja's artillery. We were greatly surprised to see their target practice. Target, because bache, artillery is all about guns. The way they could target, they were targeting their whatever they were doing at that time. The targets, that was a surprising thing for the British. Now, the Sikh gunners aimed at target so well that 200 yards from their very first fire broke the target into pieces. And then their firing from 800 yards to 1200 yards was similar, that even if they had to stand 1200 yards away from their target, they were doing it without any error. Our wonder knew no bounds when we came to know that the guns and ammunition have been introduced only a short while. So this is what William Osborne writes about the artillery of Maharaja. He's wonderstruck by their target practice, right? Then Baron Hugel, he was an Australian traveler. He visited Lahore during 1835-36. Now he writes, Ranjit Singh several times gave me the honor of witnessing the martial skill of his armies. Every time I have been wonderstruck by their smartness, awe-inspiring visage, flawless firing. I can say with justification that this army is far better than any European army. On seeing their military competence, I can say with a firm belief that this army shall be victorious over any foreign army. Austrian armies are world famous for their correct target firing, but the Khalsa army is ahead of them. So such was the military administration of Ranjit Singh. There was not even a single miss. Now, William Barr, he also writes that Khalsa army, while lifting their feet in the same sequence as the British or other European army, but in the long marches, Khalsa army is ahead of their armies. They can easily march from one place to another. While marching, they are not dependent for transportation of goods like our forces. Every regiment has with it a contractor who meets their requirement, right? The time expenditure spent by 30,000 strong Sikh army to easily march for a certain distance shall remain the same with difficulty in case of our 3,000 strong force. Now, I will leave you with certain glimpses of Ranjit Singh, right? This is one of his, the scene of one of his wars, right? Although it seems to me like a first Anglo-Sikh war, he was not there, but some kind of glimpse that you can get of the army here. And this is a beautiful painting in the background of Golden Temple, Amritsar, right? This is a marble and a red sandstone building inside the Lahore fort, which was Ranjit Singh's court of justice, right? Golden Temple. And this is all that I have for you in this lecture. I am sure now the administration of Ranjit Singh is quite clear to you, right? So my only thing would be that once you listen to this video, go back to your books, read the material. If you still find anything difficulty, you can always, kind of listen to this video, and I am sure the things will be much more clearer. Right? I will be back with yet another exciting video lecture on the history of Punjab. Thank you so much and take good care of yourself.